Another day at the workshop, and I got loads of stuff to do. First thing I'm going to show you is the throttle body for the Corolla has finally arrived. As you'd have probably, well, you may have seen from previous videos, I'm going to use a modified stock inlet manifold because they're proven to make loads of power. So, you know, the aftermarket ones I've seen, most of them are shit. So I was like, I'm not going to spend money on what I think is crap. And the side feed ones, although they look better, are known to not be any improvement over them. So bollocks to it. Problem is, with anything that's not universal, it don't normally come with a backing plate, you know, to mount it, which means you would have to custom make one, which is a pain in the ass. I was looking at Honda throttle bodies because, you know, you can buy these like 70 odd mil, which probably would have been fine, Honda throttles for good prices, but they don't come with a backing flange because they're intended to fit to the stock inlet. So it would have made it a pain. But then I realised this one, which is a bit overkill, but for this application, overkill throttle don't really matter too much. Comes with a backing plate. The reason being, it's intended to fit to, I think it's like the LS truck intakes, which have a smaller flange and a different flange, like a 3-bolt, and this is a 4-bolt. So it comes with the adapter, which is this. And by my estimations, the way it necks in to fit the smaller LS truck intake looked like it might work for this, because if it was 92 mil the whole way, because I tried it with that 102 I've got over there, it'd have been a bit big. But with the mounting plate, which is all O-ringed and everything, it's perfect. Absolutely bang on. So it'll be something along the lines of that, which is nice. So what I'll do is, obviously this will get welded to that, but I need to get the die grinder and port this right out, port match it, and go from there. It's a cutout of the minimum I'd need to grind to port match it to that. After much die grinding, this is what we got. 76 mil circle, but tapered in at this bit and kind of tapered out at that bit. And the reason I've done it like that rather than just done a straight up 76 mil hole is to try and direct the flow a bit to the outer two cylinders, because naturally with a forward facing center inlet like this, it's these two cylinders that's going to get the most air. So with it being wider than it is tall and having this bit as the smaller bit, it's more likely to feed a bit more air to the side ones versus that. You know, it's not an equal flow plenum, but you know, common sense and understanding how flow works suggests this should, you know, equalize things a bit better. You know, how unequal these are as standard, I don't know, but just simple understanding of how flow is, you know, the center two gets the most. Because if I obviously made this straight up 76 mil all the way, it would be pretty much forcing all the air down these two cylinders. It would probably be less equal than standard. Whereas like this, I've opened it up both sides, which will help the flow, and this will either spread or move up rather than just ramming it down those two. This throttle body adapter has exactly the same transition, so just CNC'd. So look, it's the same thing. It's what they've done. Oh, and if you wondered, the fact it's not 76 mil 3-inch all the way through, I did the measurements and used an area calculator and basically the current dimensions, this oval is the equivalent to a circle of about 70 mil, 71 mil, a bit less than 3 inch, but not by much, only a few mil down. And yeah, that's enough for 1,000+ horsepower, more than I'm going to make. There'll be other restrictions long before that. So yeah, while it's sort of like a 3 inch by 2 3/4 ish, bit more than that oval, it's still plenty. Right, just been working out with Corolla how the hell I'm going to fit the big throttle body. First thing I did, it's mostly about bonnet clearance. First thing I did was cut out the final side 2 strengthening gussets, whatever the fuck you want to call them things. And in all honesty, it's made no difference. This bonnet's just as solid as it ever was, so that's fine. But that's helped a bit. But yeah, it's still tricky. Basically, an easy way of doing the throttle, if I had the throttle in a conventional place, easiest way would be kind of run the boost pipes in a normal manner like they would on a GT4, where it goes over the top here and it would have to go here. Unfortunately, as you might be able to tell by the bonnet thing, it wouldn't clear without a bulge, and I don't want a fucking bulge. This car's meant to be a sleeper. How it does fit is like that. That clears the bonnet, no problem. Problem is, you ain't got room for a throttle then. And then I was thinking about it, and it's like, you know what? The throttle don't have to be there. The throttle can be anywhere. Technically, the closer the throttle body is to the inlet ports or the inlet valves, the better the throttle response is. But the difference is small. And in all honesty, a large capacity plenum does kind of exactly the same job as moving it further away in performance terms. You know what I mean? If you've got a single throttle in the normal place, then you use like direct to head individual throttle bodies. The difference in response, unless the standard inlet is shit, is barely measurable NA. And turbo, that's not the problem, is it? It's the turbo responding, that's the key there. So throttle position makes very little difference to that. So just like quite a few cars, that twin 3S-GTE engine Starlet at Gatebill is like this, and quite a few OEM cars, older ones, are like this. The throttle's not going to be on the inlet manifold. I'm going to put the throttle wherever it fits. In all honesty, I think I'm going to put the throttle there. Then it can be a normal pipe all the way across there, which increases clearance, and yeah, the throttle body can go there. That's my solution. There's solutions to everything, see, even if they're a bit weird. Also, just not by chance, but because I ordered the right one, that is exactly the same size as the boost pipe, so fucking perfect, as in the smaller diameter of that. Right, if anyone's struggling to visualize what the fuck I've been talking about, this is roughly what it's going to be. So inlet manifold, pipe, throttle there. I'm going to have some kind of joiner from the inlet manifold to the pipes, because if it's a single pipe, it'd just be fucking impossible to work with. If it can bolt on that end and that end, it'd be ideal. It's a shame I can't run the throttle in the normal place, because that does look pretty badass. But hey, you wouldn't see that when it's on the car anyway. Right, time to do some slightly less tuning and more just looking after it jobs for the Corolla. So, well, yeah, it's actually, I've took the wheel off so I could tidy it up and give it a bit of a rust proofing and paint if need be, but it's actually really good condition. It's BC coilovers, if I remember right. With the brakes, I couldn't remember what the brakes were, but they are standard Toyota. They are Celica GT4 ST185 brakes, which is good because I didn't even know if they were standard Corolla ones because I've never really looked. But yeah, ST185 brakes. So yeah, quite good. I mean, the caliper's fairly big, the pads are big, so yeah, that'll be fine. And they fit over, you know, fit under 15s, which is handy. And all good. Rust protected, tidied up, no more bare metal. Real bodgy job of the spraying on the arch because the can I've got, the spray nozzle's playing up. Obviously it's still wet, so it looks worse than it is, but that's the beauty of this car. It's meant to look shit. Do you know what I mean? The fact it's all green and mouldy, I've deliberately not even washed it because well, it's how it's meant to be. It's meant to be a sleeper. Just found this, which looks about 8,000 years old. Guess it's for rust proofing all the small things. And many hours later, I'm done tidying up the arches. I've also done the outer sills underneath, well, yeah, the outer and the inner sills underneath and some of the floor pan. I'm basically gonna spray the entire underside, body, everything with like underbody shield type shit, you know, wax oily spray, horrible stuff, just to help it, stop it getting rusty. It's not really a car, it's going to be driven in the wet and stuff, but I still don't want it to fucking rust away. So yeah, it took me longer than I thought because annoyingly got to that side, was using the airline to blow out all the crap, and it blew a hole in the rear arch between the rear section of the rear arch to the rear door pocket. So, oh, for fuck's sake, because I'd spent ages doing all the welding and everything, all the rear sill and the front of the rear arch on both sides, you know, a couple of months ago, and I was convinced that was it because the back, you know, it didn't even occur to me, but turns out I missed a bit. So yeah, and on that side it looked solid to me, but I thought, fuck it, if this one's gonna be rusting, that one maybe is too. So I was, you know, I had a good poke, and that one a small hole, that one two medium-sized holes about that big. So it cost me another few hours fixing them, but I'd rather, you know, just patch it up now rather than in the future. So I've done all that, and then, you know, painted over it, wax oiled over it, all that shit, and that's it. Turbo for the Corolla's arrived. Looks fine, doesn't it? I reckon that's where it'd go. Might need a small bonnet bulge, but it'll be fine, no problem. That'll work, won't it? Proper sleeper. Nobody would suspect a thing from a car with a turbo bigger than the engine. I'm sure it's small. 2 litre 3S-GTE and a whole set HG800. Be fine. Nah, not really. The turbine I'm done is still in America. It's being built at the moment. That's big, but it's literally nothing like that. This thing is ridiculous. Also, this thing is ridiculously heavy. I don't know what it's off. It's I think it's off a boat. It's one of two. That it's not mine either. I literally borrowed it off a guy who's about to send it back to Cummins, I think. Just because I thought it was funny and I wanted to have a look at it. I weighed it earlier. It's 52.5 kilos. Honestly, 52.5 kilos. The compressor housing is cast iron. The compressor wheel is, I think it's billet titanium. Weirdly, the turbine housing is small, like tiny, It's only a 22 centimeter, which on a turbo this big, I think it's, I measured it earlier, 94 mil inducer, I think. That's a small housing. I mean, you can probably see from that, it's like a, I don't know what the AR equivalent would be on a wheel like that. I would have to check, but I bet you it's like a 63 housing. It's small, I'll tell you that much. It's way less than the equivalent, because it's got a big turbine wheel. I'll show you in a minute. I'll move it. I think the reason they have a billet titanium wheel is something to do with, on some of these anyway, it's something to do with so much shit and dirt gets sucked up into the compressor inlet. A normal aluminium or billet aluminium, any kind of aluminium, just a conventional compressor wheel, gets chewed up too fast because of all this dirt and shit it gets in it. I don't know if it's to do with like EGR or if it's like just poor filtration because of where they're used. I don't fucking know, but that's the reason for these billet compressor wheels, because they're heavier, because titanium, because they're not built any different. Like physically the design is like every other whole set wheel, it's just made of titanium rather than alloys. So yeah, strong as hell, but not, and still light, if you know, it's not like steel, but nowhere near as light as a aluminium one, so the spool wouldn't be as fast. That's maybe why it's got a tiny turbine housing on it, because they need the small turbine housing to get it to spool. I don't know, but yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, absolutely mental. Must be, what's 94 mil turbo, so it's on the right engine, it's best part of 2000 horsepower probably, don't know. Absolutely bonkers though. Let me take it off, I'll put it on the floor and I will show you it a bit more. What's the best way of, don't want to fucking drop it, it's not mine. That kind of gives the better idea of the compressor to turbine thing. It's a small turbine housing. Technically it should spool up like a fucking rocket considering the size. A gigantic HY35 or something, because that is a small housing. Let me I'll show how big the wheel is. That's a big ass turbine wheel. If I remember right, it's 4 inches. 4-inch turbine wheel. It's big, man. Big, big, big. But yeah, it's fucking awesome. Absolutely badass. I'll show you what it weighs. I've already told you, but I better show you. 1 second. .5 kilos, and for you other countries that don't use things like kilos, let me change the oh, it's not that one. I don't know how to use this fucking thing. Pounds, right. I have to turn it off and turn it back on again. 1 sec. 115.88 pounds. If that means anything to anyone. The light does not, there you go, 115.88 pounds. It's big. And this is a small one. I mean, like I said, this one is just somebody I know who's about to send it back to Cummins for, I don't even know what reason. It's just brand new. But Compressor Racing, who I know, has just got some of these, and they're bigger. His ones are 100, wow, they're bigger. They got bigger wheels. I don't know about the turbine wheel. I think it's the same turbine wheel. They're HG800, so I think it is the same turbine wheel. But they got bigger compressors. I think here's a 102mm compressor, and they're billet alloy, so we'll spool faster, and a much bigger turbine housing, like 45, or I think some are 45, some are 52, some are fucking bonkers like that. And being 102mm turbos, they are 2,000 plus horsepower is good for, maybe 2,500, somewhere around there, being 102. And yeah, I think they're 45 and 52. I think, and even that, it sounds enormous, but it's not in comparison to the wheel size. I think 45 and I think 52 works out to be about 1.4 AR or something like that. So 45 would probably be what, 1.3, I don't know. It's something along those lines, which is, yeah, it's big, but pretty typical for some kind of big V8 running 102mm turbo, you know, a tuned car. But this is fucking small. This would be on some kind of insane small capacity engine in tuning terms. There's no doubt this is off something massive, but I'm guessing it's something that they're happy to have high back pressure and probably not going to turn it that hard. I don't know, I have no idea. I'm going by the outlet flange. I reckon it's some kind of marine application, but I don't know, but it's absolutely mental. I don't know if I've got anything that would show you the size comparison. Actually, I know what I've got. 1 second, I will turn the camera off, go and get it, and I come back. There you go, little and large. And that's not even that little. That's a T25 Garrett with a 63 exhaust housing. It's not like a little tiny teeny one. That's a 63 turbine housing. Normal, typical T25. Can't remember what that's off. It's off something modified, because it's got a alloy oil feed fitting. Can't remember, I'd have to ask Thomas what that's from. I recognise it, but I can't remember. But yeah, I want to see how big this really is. Most cars, standard cars these days, you know, even performance ones have a turbo similar size to that. You know, most smaller. I mean, T25 was, you know, on typical, you know, 1.8 litre to 2 litre turbo engines in the 80s and 90s. Look at this motherfucker. That's quite a difference. This turbo will literally fit in that compressor inlet. The compressor inducer on that is practically as big as the fucking nut on that. T2 flange, or T25 flange, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, 64 out in nice. And whatever the hell that flange is, gigantic mofo flange. And I've been here for 11 hours, I reckon. It don't seem like I've done much for 11 hours, but I have actually made pretty good progress. Yeah, cheers for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that shenanigans, and I'm going to film some more tomorrow when that video comes out. Depends how much other stuff I can get done tomorrow. But yeah, I'm done for tonight because I am hungry and I might get Chinese. I like Chinese. Haven't had a Chinese before last night for about a year, and then last night I had one, and now I think I must have another one. So yeah, it was good. Anyway, I'm off. See you next time.